Yes, people, welcome back to the channel and another match reaction here on Turkish LDN. Make sure you're subscribed here, people, because there's going to be a lot more match reactions coming out here across the next few months and year ahead. So make sure you don't miss them by subscribing right here, people. And the overarching feeling off the back of the 2-2 result against Liverpool at the Emirates is disappointment. I'm not going to lie to anyone. You know, we can look at this game in two ways, glass half full and glass half empty. And, you know, if you're subscribed to this channel already, you kind of know what I'm about when it comes to Arsenal. Pessimistic, to say the least. And I'll get into why I'm looking at it as a glass half empty. But before I do, people, as you can see, this video is sponsored. I've only just brought match reactions to the channel, so big up HelloFresh for picking it out, wanting to sponsor it. So make sure you go show them some love too, people. If you can, use the code Turkish60 and a little message from them here.
Listen, people, let's show HelloFresh some love. Use the code Turkish60 to get 60% off your first box plus 20% off the next 2 months. Let's not forget free desserts for life. I'm a man with very little time. Quick, easy, nutritious meals are a must. And this is where HelloFresh deliver. Have a look at this zesty breaded sea bass and chips. 35 to 40 minutes, 1 of your 5 a day. Beautiful. Ingredients ready, chop up the potatoes, bang them in the oven, don't forget the garlic. Dash the fish on the pan, caress the breadcrumb mixture all over. Throw that in the oven too. Have a cheeky check on the chips. 25 minutes later, Bob's your uncle. Look at that, people. I'm gonna enjoy. Show the channel some love. Use the code Turkish60 or scan the QR code or use the link in the description, people. No excuses. Any which way works. Love for the love. Come on.
Big up HelloFresh. Make sure you use the code Turkish60 to get your special offer from Turkish LDN. And listen, go show them some love, people, because like I said, a lot more match reactions coming out on this channel in the next few weeks, months and years ahead. A lot more active than usual. But let's get into it, man. I said I was disappointed. Disappointment is the feeling. And listen, I'm going to tell you why. We was close and we was unfortunate with a couple of the injuries prior to the game and a couple of the injuries in the game. But you know, I think we're in a place now where there isn't any excuses. The last summer transfer window, it was all about adding the necessary depth and quality to close the gap on Manchester City. I didn't believe we did the necessary, but the general consensus is that we are ready to go, raring to go, and we will be flying going into this game. And I quote Mikel Arteta's words on that. Now, that first 20 minutes, listen, obviously we got our goal pretty early on, but that first 20 minutes overall, Liverpool, it seemed the more dominant possession-wise. Well, they did 65% possession across the first 30 minutes, but we had our moment and Starboy turns up. You know, much was said about how important he would be if he was fit for this game, and the proof's in the pudding, not just in this game, but across the last 2 years in general with Saka. He's so efficient in the final third, goals, assists, and the way he took that goal. Firstly, big up Ben White, because that ball over the top, exquisite. Especially at a time when Liverpool were pressing and were the more aggressive. We needed a little outlet. Saka peels off Robertson, great run, keeps on side, and Ben White finds him perfectly. And Saka still had a lot to do. He still had a lot to do. Great first touch, chops Robertson inside, kind of gives Kelleher the eyes. Because from that moment, you know, 9 times out of 10, you'd expect the player on his stronger foot to stroke it into the back post. Not Saka. We've seen him finish like that many times, left foot, right foot, into the top of the goal, the tight angle, and he done it again. And we needed that because that first 20, 30 minutes in general, we were struggling to really create anything. Well, I say struggling to really, we didn't really create anything. That was the one moment. And Saka bagged it. And you know, I won't say we were flying, but we seemed in control. Liverpool at that point seemed to not have any answers to our defensive setup. There was that one moment from Mikel Merino where, you know, he stepped up and it allowed Salah an opportunity that I'd expect Salah to at least get on target. And it wasn't to be. He hits it just wide. And, you know, we got away with it a little in that moment, in my opinion. Also in the first 30, I've got to say, Thomas Partey, You know, Liverpool identified him as a weakness. The first ball was out to Luis Diaz, but Thomas Partey, he's got a new son because Diaz was locked up all game. All game, apart from one moment in the second half. I know the Liverpool fans are probably writing the comment out as we speak. That was a great moment from Diaz, but overall, when you look at the risk of playing Thomas Partey at right back against a winger like Diaz, who this season has been in form, much has been said about him, Thomas Partey done very well. He done very, very well. And I think the first 20, 30 minutes set the tempo for that battle, as well as other battles across the pitch. I think Saka got the better of Robertson multiple times, not just for the goal. Timber kept Salah awfully quiet. You know, you won't see a quieter half from Mo Salah. He's a Premier League legend, 100%. I'm not here to diss him or dismiss him, but he was very quiet. And Nunes, I mean, you know, the defence was handling him quite well, and Liverpool just seemed void of any real invention or creativity, and they were struggling. Lo and behold, a set piece, corner kick. And I'm going to talk about this corner in depth because firstly, Martinelli has Diaz, and Martinelli allows him too easily to get in between both him, in front of Martinelli, and in between Havertz. And Havertz is covering the front post. Diaz gets in front of Havertz. Now, in that moment, I expect Havertz to get a bit tighter at the very least. There was too much space in between Diaz, Havertz, and Martinelli. No one was really taking ownership of that moment. Diaz flicks it on. Van Dijk heads it in. 1-1. 1-1. And at that point, I didn't feel it was deserved. Liverpool was struggling. You know, they had the ball, but they were struggling to really do anything with it. But at that moment, it was 1-1. And I actually think the Merino slip came after that at 1-1. But listen, my head's all over the gaff at the moment, so pardon me if I get things in the wrong order. But yeah, Van Dijk scores, and on Mikel Merino has a chance pretty much straight after. Great ball in from Declan Rice from a set piece. Honestly, I don't know what Merino was doing in that moment. I don't know why he went for it, how he went for it. Body shape was all over the place, probably the wrong foot. Why even the foot? I mean, there were so many questions in that moment, and then he falls down holding his shoulder. He knows he should have scored that. I think the shoulder thing was more of a, I fucked up, but let me just, you know, let me act like this is twinged a little. But listen, he missed, he turned up. Like for like, Declan Rice set piece, ball into the box. Merino stays just onside by a toenail. And you know, that makes all the difference now in modern day football. So just onside, this time he buries it. Header, straight in. Yes, a VAR check, but it's a goal 2-1 and a well-deserved goal at that. I think at the end of the first half, being 2-1 up, I think very fair. Very fair to say the least, even though Havertz had at least a couple moments that I expect. I won't say I expect better from him. I'll say I expect better from your highest paid player. Now, people, you know, they blur the lines on this subject a lot. If you're you know, highest paid player is an attacker, then he has to make the difference. If it's a defender, he has to make the difference. If it's a mid, and so on. Your highest paid player is there to make the difference. And I think that Havertz had a couple moments in that first half, the one back post where he took a touch rather than go for it, and it just goes out for a goal kick. Or the one Martinelli cross that just beats Van Dijk, and I can't remember the other player. Havertz, okay, blindsided a little, but the ball just slaps his face and that's it. Move done. So a couple moments there from Havertz I expect better, but listen, 2-1 at halftime, I'll take it, we'll take it. We was all happy and we move. Second half now, Liverpool come out better. I won't say they come out scary. They came out better. I think Diaz, in that moment, you know, I think he nutmegged Partey, got around him. Probably should have passed it, done a bit too much, ended up clattering into David Raya and hitting the post, but it wasn't a glaring opportunity like that. But it was the first time he beat Partey and the only time he beat Partey in that whole game. So credit to Thomas Partey. I think Thomas Partey was potentially our man of the match. I'd put Saka up there as well. I think Trossard had more. I think Trossard from 30 in decided to take a bit more ownership in his number 10 role. He started dropping, collecting the ball. He started breaking the lines with his passes, you know, creating attacks. And that stemmed from the end of the first half. It didn't roll over into the second half. Trossard still had a good game off the ball, but on the ball, he wasn't doing much at all. And that's where my frustration lies, people. You know, this is before the Gabriel injury. This is before the Timber injury. So we're talking 50, 55 minutes in. And Arsenal have, at home, have failed to really take the game to Liverpool. Now, listen, if we go on and win that game 2-1, fine. I've said this before. I don't care how we win it. If we go win the league playing the most boring style of football we've ever seen, I don't care. That doesn't bother me one bit. So if we came out of this game winning 2-1, having not created or taken the game to Liverpool as much as maybe we would have hoped, albeit with injuries, then cool, we won the game 2-1. Massive 3 points, massive result. But the game ended 2-2. And in hindsight now, I look at our performance and I think, all right, we had a couple injuries, but Timber and Saka returned. That's massive. I know Odegaard being out is a big blow for us, but Saka and Timber coming back into it, massive. Going 1-0 up in the first 10 minutes, massive. But it ended 2-2, and I look at overall 90, 95-minute performance, and there's something missing. There's a lack of options in certain positions for Mikel that means we have to play a different style of football with Odegaard out. This ain't just on Saka being out last game or potentially being out of this one. Odegaard is our hub of creativity. He is the one that assists in the transition a hell of a lot. He's the one that takes ownership in the midfield if we are struggling. He works hard, but he also creates. And we are missing that. But we're in our 5th year. We're in our 3rd year of expectation, maybe 2nd if you argue our 1st year of challenging wasn't expected. I agree. But we did challenge, and we challenged last year. And going into this year, I know a big injury to Odegaard is not ideal, but look, Man City are dealing with Rodri. They're dealing with Rodri. And Kevin De Bruyne being out, funnily enough. I know he's imminently returning. If not returned, I didn't check the Southampton game, if I'm honest with you. I expected 3 points for them. They've had to deal with that. Liverpool, okay, they've been more fortunate than us this season. Obviously, they've been very unfortunate in past seasons, but they also had Alisson out. So I'm not here going to make excuses with the injuries or Saliba being out. I think we had enough quality with Saka and Timber coming back in, Partey having a great game against Diaz. It's not like we had to change the shape or change personnel in certain positions, and that's what exposed us. No, Partey being right back isn't what exposed us. Marino starting his first game in the midfield in his natural position started shaky, to say the least, but I think he got into the game a bit more. Still expect an awful lot more from him. But it's the whole attitude now going into these games, or when we go 1 goal up. I just feel we lack the control that we had last season in the tight games. A lot of games last season, they were tight, 2-1s or 2-0s, or, the moments in the game, important moments in games, we would get the better of them. This season, 9 game weeks in, we've dropped points in 4 of the 9 games. That's pretty close to 50% now. And we've got a trip to St. James Park next Saturday midday. So listen, people, disappointment is the feeling. A loss, I would have said we're out of it. A win, we're right back in the mix. A draw kind of leaves us in a position where I'm looking at Newcastle, I'm looking at Chelsea, and we must get 6 points out of those 2 games. We must. Gabriel injured, Timber injured. We've got to cross our fingers and hope for the best. But it doesn't take away from the job we need to do. Man can't get injured and all of a sudden we now say, oh, you know what, the title's probably out of reach and, we've just got to... No, I still look back at that transfer window and I still ask, why did we do certain things and why did we leave ourselves short in certain positions? Funnily enough, now the position we stacked ourselves in, all of a sudden that's light as well. So that is unfortunate. That is out of our hands. But what is in our hands is making sure we have a squad capable of playing the football Mikel wants to play, implementing the style and philosophy he wants to implement on that pitch. But we haven't got that because as soon as Odegaard received that injury, we've been a very different team. Still a good team, still a team that's picked up very good points away from, point away at Etihad, 3 points away at Tottenham. It's still a very good team, but it's a team that has to go about the 90 minutes very different to how we would with Odegaard there. And that's my big problem with the transfer window. People will say, oh, you wanted a striker. We needed another attacker. We needed another attacker to spice things up, to rejuvenate, replenish, refresh. We didn't get that. Credit to Mikel in terms of finding a different style of play. Will we win the league come the end of the season? It's only game week 9. You know how I feel about it. Let me know how you feel about it in the comment section below, people. Hit the like button. Make sure. I'm sorry, people. Imagine I was going to leave you lot without talking about the winner that should have been. And that's what it was. And you know what? This ain't excuses. This ain't, talking about referees again. It is the facts. I've just looked at it again, and I don't understand how the referee can give a foul for someone going up for a header. I'm even watching it as we speak now. My head was gone at that moment in the watch long, hence why I must have just erased it without knowing. And I've been at it on Twitter, and I'm looking at it again thinking, how? Then I've looked at the referee. He doesn't put his arm up until Havertz has chested it round and over the defender. It's mad. And you know what? I've said things out of anger and frustration on watch-alongs about referees, but the reality is that's what it will come to eventually, because these decisions are absolutely insane. And I'm not just talking about ones against Arsenal. I'm talking about in general. Some of the decisions they make, whether it's against us, against Liverpool, against Wolves, against whoever it is, whenever it is. We've seen enough of them over the last 2.5 years. It's frustrating. It's fine margins a manager or players cannot control. It's fine margins that no real governing body wants to address. And by that, I don't know what governing bodies there are apart from the FA. PGMOL is the one that needs to be investigated. And I don't mean investigated for corruption or fraud or all of this stuff, because, people do run away with these false ideas and whatnot. And listen, I'm not going to vehemently deny that, listen, there's a lot of money in football. But these referees have to be held accountable. You know what this does to the game? It turns a disappointing 2-2 draw to a massive morale boosting 3-2 win. And it would be, and I want to get this in right now, it would be a winner from Kai Havertz. A winner he conjured, well, he didn't put it in the back of the net, sorry, but it's a winner he would have conjured. The chest and turn around the defender. Who is the defender? One sec. Is it Van Dijk? Why is this thing blurry like this? Anyway, either or, Van Dijk or Konate, whoever it was, that chest and turn from Havertz, it was a game winner. It was a game winner. But it wasn't to be 2-2, and the rest is still relevant. The first 8 minutes of this video is still relevant. That's the overarching issue as well moving forward, because I'm tired of talking about referees. It's out of our hands. When it happens to us, opposition fans will laugh. If it happens to them, we will laugh at them. And by we, I don't mean me, because in this argument, I put football first. And they're fucking about with the game, people. They're fucking about with the game. And there's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing no one wants to do about it. But it is what it is. We play into their hands when it's, ha, you're moaning about referees again. Ha, you're moaning about referees again. Ha, oh, they're moaning. Every week, someone's moaning about refs. Once funny, twice funny, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. However many times, it's not funny no more. Remember, show some love to HelloFresh. Hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Love for the love, people. I'm out. Peace.